Thank you, Chairwoman Baldwin and Ranking Member Capito, for convening today, and I certainly appreciate the Secretary being here and taking time to speak with us. Mr. Secretary, with workforce shortages felt in just about every sector, workforce development is obviously more important than ever. I just had a lot of the maritime industries in my office this morning with shipbuilding, with, well, it's barge companies and towing companies, that it's just very critical right now, and they came to D.C. to ask me for help with this. But it just emphasizes the need to strengthen and increase the number of career and technical education programs across our country, especially in rural areas where I come from that lack certain trained professionals. In what ways can the department and Congress assist in promoting and broadening the reach of career and technical education programs in both K through 12 schools and community colleges?
Thank you for that, and I share the interest that you expressed around making sure we're leveling up our career and technical education programs, making sure that our schools are attuned to the careers that are available to our students, and making sure that, in this case, maritime industry partners are connected with our universities, but also our K-12 systems, to give our students exposure earlier to the careers that exist for them. That's even more important in rural communities, where oftentimes I've spoken to folks from the rural community, kind of felt like they're not being listened to as much, and we're taking that very seriously. Through our rural education program, we're asking for $215 million. Title I, there's a share for rural communities. At the department, we're proud we brought on Julia Cunningham, who's now the new director of rural engagement, and we want to make sure that we're targeting our support, technical assistance, and guidance to rural communities, in addition to what we're doing generally, but we're creating a rural community of practice on career pathways. And I would welcome an opportunity, I would really welcome an opportunity for my team to engage with some of the folks that visited you this morning to see what we can hear from them, how we can make sure our services are providing the support that they're looking for and that our schools need in our rural communities.
So what are these programs doing? Give me some examples.
Sure. So what they're doing, and I visited a rural community in Kentucky recently where I saw the students in the CTE program there engaging in jobs that could be done from Kentucky where they don't have to leave Kentucky. So it could be, for example, a cybersecurity pathway where the students are able to work remotely but work on issues of cybersecurity or get careers in cybersecurity. We saw them working in different programs that connect them to jobs in the region as well. And I think we also have to make sure we're taking into account the specific challenges in rural communities. Oftentimes broadband is an issue. Oftentimes there are no large plants next to them. So we have to think creatively about what we're going to do in rural communities to make sure that those students have the same access.
And how do we incentivize the industry groups to increase their investment in workforce training initiatives to train students for these high-skilled, in-demand technical jobs? Because a lot of these jobs are really good jobs, 6-digit.
Exactly.
So how do we get industry to address this?
We created recently a rural strategy and action team whose job it is to do just that. And I'd be happy to have more engagement with that team that we just created, with you and your team, to share specifics. But as I said earlier, we're trying to focus on rural needs and making sure that those students have the same opportunities as other students in the country.
Well, thank you for that. And I've got one more. The charter school program has not received an increase in funding since fiscal year 2019. Despite the increase in demand and growing student waiting lists across the country, in addition, charter schools lack sufficient resources for their facilities. What will your department do to support charter schools that have had level funding for 5 years but would like to welcome more students because they do have a waiting list and access the needed resources so they can keep their doors open?
Thank you, Senator. We do believe that charter schools do provide an option for families. Public charter schools are an option for families. We have not reduced funding. We've kept the same level of funding, and we recognize that Charter schools do provide support. We're available for technical support and guidance as well, and we'll continue to do that.
So you'll continue to keep it level with no increases?
We'll continue to support charter schools, and the budget this year, it does not ask for an increase. We're focusing our increases on areas where we're noticing students are underperforming woefully to help level up in those situations.
Yeah, because with inflation, I mean, if you hadn't had an increase in 5 years, there's definitely cuts having to be made. Thank you so much.